Keep on riding with us as we continue to broadcast the balance and defend the discourse from the Hip Hop Weekly studios. Welcome back to Civic Cipher. I am your host, Ramses Ja.
He is Ramses Ja. I am Q Ward. You are tuned into Civic Cipher.
Yes, you are. And we have the one, the only Jevin Hodge with us, who serves as the president of an NAACP branch representing nearly 2 million people with his branch. He's currently leading one of the nation's most historic and influential civil rights organizations in advancing equity, opportunity, and community empowerment. He previously served as a state representative and a former congressional candidate. And he will be having a discussion with us concerning the boycott of DEI. For those that missed the first part of the show, we had an interesting conversation about his role in the NAACP and their role in local politics as of the Trump administration. And so for those that missed it, be sure to check that out as well. Before we move any further, though, it's time to become a better ally, BABA. And today's BABA, it comes to you from centerforblackequity.org. So I'll share from their website. They help improve equity in 3 areas. 1, economic equity, allowing Black LGBT people to compete effectively in the marketplace. 2, social equity, allowing Black LGBT to achieve fair access to livelihood and education, full participation in the political and cultural life, and self-determination in meeting fundamental needs. And 3, health equity, allowing Black LGBT people to thrive physically, behaviorally, environmentally, and spiritually. Their mission is to promote a multinational LGBTQ+ network dedicated to improving health and wellness opportunities, economic empowerment, and equal rights while promoting individual and collective work, responsibility, and self-determination. And their vision is to build a global network of LGBTQ+ individuals, allies, community-based organizations, and prides dedicated to achieving equality and social justice for Black LGBTQ+ communities through economic equity, health equity, and social equity. Again, you can find out more at the centerforblackequity.org, or you can follow them on social media at CTR for Black Equity, Black spelled out, equity spelled out. Once again, at CTR for Black Equity, and 4 is the number 4. We wanted to make sure that we highlighted this organization, because we haven't been able to get to them. We have a new org every week, and we've never repeated since we started the show. So we're talking hundreds of do-gooders around the country, but these folks in particular are addressing the concerns of a very vulnerable population, especially nowadays. So one more time, that's centerforblackequity.org. If you feel so inclined, please give them your support. Okay, so here we are. Maybe there is something we can do for those of us who want to do something. Boycotting those who are boycotting DEI. I'm going to share a bit, and then of course we'll discuss it. But this comes from the Black Information Network. Reverend Al Sharpton is urging the public to boycott companies that are cutting their diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DEI programs. Sharpton said his organization, the National Action Network, is calling on all Americans to boycott companies that no longer support DEI. McDonald's, Meta, Walmart, John Deere, Harley-Davidson, Lowe's, and Ford are among the major companies that have rolled back their DEI policies amid right-wing pressure. I'd like to add that there are more companies that have rolled back their DEI efforts since then. Mm-hmm. So that is in no way an exhaustive list. I'll continue reading. Quote, why do we have DEI? We have DEI because you denied us diversity, you denied us equity, you denied us inclusion. DEI was a remedy to the racial institutionalized bigotry practice in academia and in these corporations. Now, if you want to put us back in the back of the bus, we're going to do the Dr. King Rosa Parks on you, Sharpton said Monday to a group of supporters gathered at Metropolitan AME Church. Sharpton said a council will hold a 90-day study of what companies have abandoned DEI and their margins of profit. Following the study, 2 companies will be specifically targeted in the boycott. The Reverend said he would be supporting companies that have doubled down on their DEI practices, like Costco, amid the boycott. So I want to say something first here. In 2020, when I was out protesting, like many of us, And I was interacting with a lot of people who didn't look like me. I want to be very clear. You know, we're based in Arizona. We're certainly here in 2020, Q and myself. And Arizona, the population in Arizona, it's not like a place like Atlanta. It's not like a place like Louisiana where there's a significant amount of black people. In Phoenix, you know, we'd go out to a protest, a Black Lives Matter protest, as they were known at the time. And there might be 10% black people there, but there were thousands of people. So that meant that all of the other groups came out to support us. And I ended up having a lot of conversations with people that didn't look like me, where we were happy when companies announced they were going to be paying closer attention, they were going to be promoting, they were going to be hiring, they were going to allow black voices to participate. They would be incorporating DEI policies into their employment curriculum, if you will. And to a person like me, where that is something that feels like movement, it feels like it's not nothing, it feels like growth. To a lot of the activists that didn't look like me, they push back. And these are, in many instances, these are white people, white women in a lot of instances, pushing back, saying, they're just doing that because it's performative. They're just doing that because it's the order of the day. They don't really feel that way. It looks like a copy paste of the company before them. And I remember feeling like, well, look, it's not nothing. It's something. I remember that feeling, and they were like, Ramses, it's performative. What you want is real change. You want people that are really committed to sharing resources, people that are really committed. And they had this whole thing. And I'm like, okay, they're new to this. They're still angry, and they don't have anywhere with the anger to go. So I was naive. Here I am 4 years later. It wasn't 5 years, it wasn't a decade, it was 4 years. The same, like, we remember that you said that, Target, Walmart, we remember that. That was 4 years. We don't have that short a memory. So it was particularly heartbreaking, not only that they rolled back their DEI and their, let me say it the way Q says it. They rolled back their diversity, their equity, and their inclusion.
Thank you.
Because that's important. They rolled that back. But it also breaks my heart to know that all those people, those activists that were trying to support black people in the moment, they were right. It was just performative. And the part that feels like a gut punch is that it's almost like, and I've said this on the Black Information Network before with Q, but it feels like, okay, so Donald Trump's going to be in office for 4 years. Black people are going to be in this country for a lot longer than that. And as we've established, our memories are not that short. Okay. Now I know you want to say something, Q, so why don't you let me let you off the leash, and then Jevin, we'll get your thoughts here.
When you grow accustomed to getting nothing, people can get away with doing the least to appease you.
That's fair, yeah.
Right? The black square on Instagram.
Yeah.
All those companies. This is back when woke was a good thing. All those companies are woke. We are so used to corporations, specifically institutions, doing nothing for us. So companies instituting something like DEI initiatives on their company website as a splash page, spending no actual money, doing nothing to actually give back to communities. But, you know, it looks good at that moment to be a company supporting black people, because the entire world, for a brief moment, felt some empathy for us. Following that, I remember I was a national speaker for Clear, the company that you guys see at the airport. And DEI is what I was speaking on. And I refused to get on this national stage for their entire sales team and all their executives and all their market directors and regional directors and vice presidents, etc., to have a conversation about DEI if they weren't doing anything tangible. I wasn't going to be the face of your fake PR campaign. So I actually did that event because I did the research and realized that their woman CEO, important to say out loud, their woman CEO actually cared about DEI. A large percentage of her workforce worked for that company because the CEO was a woman, and she understood the importance of that. And their hiring practices reflected that they cared about DEI. You know, every level of management reflected that they cared about DEI, right? And then working on making those executive vice presidents and that C-suite more diverse across the board for all companies. But starting somewhere with actual actionable steps is a big deal. A lot of major corporations just rolled out some good PR. Let's take some pictures with Ramses and Q. Let's have your favorite black celebrity come to our headquarters. Let's roll out a commercial. But what schools, what communities, what initiatives, what nonprofits, what organizations actually benefited from you deciding that it's a good look to participate in DEI? So those allies that marched with us, that were in the streets with us, that showed up to those protests, they weren't being cynical. They were being realist. They were saying to us, hey, black people, you guys should not be impressed or pleased with these companies doing the absolute least with regards to actually showing up for you. But the truth is, when you starve, and I think Eddie Murphy said this most eloquently, a cracker is everything when you starving. Yeah. So when we are used to companies, this country, organizations, legislators, politicians doing nothing for us, then people can show up and do the absolute least and we will applaud it. And I think that's where we found ourselves 4 years ago. And for those who thought it was nonsense and didn't think it was real, they've just been proven right. I don't think these people are cracking under pressure. I think they started those initiatives because of pressure. It would have looked crazy in that moment to be the company that didn't put the black square up. Wow, it would have looked crazy to be the company that wasn't riding with black people when the whole world was. I don't think these people are being pressured by the right. The man been in office for a week. Some of these rollbacks started before he was inaugurated. They were getting ahead of it. We don't got to do that no more. I was tired of parading around here pretending. Now that we've owned the woke libs, we can stop pretending that we care. I don't think they were pressured to make any changes. I think they could just finally act and show up how they really felt.
Go ahead, Jevin.
Hold on. Brother Q, yeah. My brother and I have a saying, and we say, it's a call and response.
Okay.
We all we got. The other one replies, well, we all we need. And that's really what it comes down to, especially in this moment. We have to stand up to protect our people. We have to protect our dollar. We have to protect our time. We have to protect our talents. We have to protect our treasures. We have to protect our people. And like you just said, Brother Q, we are seeing time and time again that they did what was popular in the moment. Those organizations, those corporations did what was popular in the moment, but reverted back to doing exactly what it is that they wanted to do all along. And when it was popular, when it was good for profits, they did what they needed to do. And they're going to continue to do the exact same thing. I want to highlight something though before we get too far into this conversation, and I thank Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries for bringing this to light. DE&I, diversity, equity, inclusion, are American values embedded in American society. It is who we are. E pluribus unum, out of many, one. Diversity, the 14th Amendment, equal protection under law, equity. We pledge our allegiance every single day, the children in our schools, to the flag. We pledge our allegiance to the flag, right? that we are one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That is inclusion. These are the values of American society. But because they want you to believe that it's not, and they're flooding the airwaves with misinformation and disinformation and fake news, we now have a society of people who believe that what is being spouted out is accurate. And this is where we come in. This is why you all are so important. Y'all too are so incredibly important, because you're speaking truth to power every single day, and you're continuing to do so.
Target.
It's up to us though, right? You know, so my challenge is to whoever that inspired listener is, no matter where you're at right now, New York City, Dallas, California, somewhere, California, the great state of Arizona, Texas, Georgia, South Carolina, no matter where you are at, find a friend, go make sure they're registered to vote, and get them involved. Get them involved, even if that starts by subscribing to this show. But we all have to band together.
You know, I think that what I'm learning in this moment, well said, both of you. I feel like as I continue to find my way through this moment in my life and this moment in our country's political history, it's conversations like these that certainly help me along my way. But what I'm gathering is that we are, you know, your point was well made, Jevin, that we are a country of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Those are the founding principles of this country, and it of course had to be expanded to include us. Mm-hmm. But for everyone's lifetime and the lifetime of up to, I'd say, their grandparents, mm-hmm. That definition has included all of us, mm-hmm. right? And so this is the country that we are now. We've grown here, and this is where we are, okay? But the intersection of the values of this country with the forces of capitalism, Q will like this, mm-hmm. and the, I guess perhaps the fear, well, fear's not the word I want to use here. Perhaps the power high, mm-hmm. or what the wickedness, I wouldn't know what to call it, but it's white supremacy. Mm-hmm. So there's an intersection of this country's values, mm-hmm. or what this country's values should be, intersecting with the forces of capitalism and the forces of white supremacy. And we have to hold the line. And when we are met with, okay, so this current administration stands opposed to teaching Black people's history. This current administration stands opposed to initiatives that were meant to bring about equitable treatment and equitable hiring and equitable education and equitable housing and so forth and so on of historically marginalized communities, including white women. This administration has established that it is opposed to a lot of the progressive ideas which Black people have. We've leaned on progressive movements, mm-hmm. to gain the rights that we have right now, and we are indeed leaning on progressive ideas to create equitable outcomes with respect to the criminal justice system, mm-hmm. To environmental racism and so forth, all kinds of things, right? So now that we're here, and all the levers of government, as Q would say, are in the hands of the people that stand opposed, mm-hmm. to what looks like progress to us, this emerges as an idea, this boycott. I'll start with you, Q, because I know you had something to say here. Do you think this can work?
I think the idea of a boycott, as one of the largest consumer groups in the world,
and trendsetters, but yeah.
Well, we are the trendsetters, so that's a whole different conversation.
Yeah. I just want to make sure I shoehorn that in.
The entire world, for all of history, what's cool.
Yeah, Walmart.
Like, yeah, that's. But as one of the largest consumer groups in the world, even if we don't make up most of the world's wealth, we definitely make up most of the world's spenders, mm-hmm. consumers. I think the idea is fantastic and could be a very, very strong lever that we could pull. However, there's a difference between could it work and will it work.
Yeah, we got to be on the same
right
page.
If you place us in a food desert, and the least expensive way of getting food on our kids' table is Walmart, it's very hard to say boycott Walmart.
Yeah.
If you take away fast food, right? They have a special now at McDonald's. You can feed a family of 4 for $12 or something crazy like that.
Yeah.
It's hard to boycott McDonald's
When that's the only place to eat.
when you can get a meal for $20 for your house.
Family, yeah.
And the healthier food from a place that might be riding with us is too expensive for you. There's also this issue with us in solidarity. It's become hip to be a contrarian, to push when all of us are pulling because we're sheep and you're not, and you want to impress us with your brilliance and your free independent thought, even though all your talking points are from the MAGA playbook. So can it? Could it? Sure. Will it? Different question.
All right, 30 seconds before we go. I know that's not a lot of time, but
Discipline. Can we be disciplined? How bad do we want it? How bad do we want equity? How bad do we want to be treated equally, fairly, justly? And if we've learned anything from our foremothers and forefathers, is that they were disciplined. The Montgomery boycott, bus boycott, look it up if you don't know about it. We can do it, but we have to be disciplined.
I like that. I'll take it. Listen, don't be goofy. You know that this was wrong. You know, for those contrarians out there that Q called out, you know that this is wrong. You know that the people that you love, your people, are hurting and will continue to hurt. Don't be goofy. Get on board. And we're going to have to leave it right there. As always, I'd like to thank you for tuning in to Civic Cipher. Once again, I've been your host, Ramses Ja.
He is Ramses Ja. I am Q Ward. Once again, thank you guys for tuning in and allowing us to share our thoughts with you about some topics that, as you guys know, are incredibly difficult to live through and experience, and sometimes even harder to talk about.
Yeah. Jevin, thank you, of course, for coming back on the show and sharing your brilliant mind with us. Once again, make sure everyone has your social media and how they can keep up with you.
Hey, I love you too, brothers, and so just thank you so much. Y'all are my brothers forever, but I just want you. I'm glad to share y'all with the country.
Let's get it.
I'm glad to share y'all with your country. You can find me at Jevin Hodge. That's JevinHodge on all platforms: Instagram, Facebook, X, Twitter, Threads, you name it.
And you can find us at Civic Cipher on all platforms as well. And until next week, y'all.
Peace.
Stay up.